Welcome, everyone. We'll wait just a few seconds to let everyone join, and then we'll begin. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Healthcare Lounge. Today's topic is fill your pipeline, grow your book, marketing tips to build your brand and audience. And our special guest today is Poch Relucio. So now I will turn it over to Nelson.
Thank you, Kendall. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Healthcare Lounge. This is actually not about healthcare as much as it is about getting your message out to the people who need your help with their healthcare. And there's an old adage that it doesn't matter what business you're in. You could be an attorney, you could be an accountant, you could be a plumber, you could be a healthcare advisor. But if you aren't in the marketing business, you're not going to grow your business like you would like to. Because the fact of the matter is, one of the worst and most misleading sayings in all of marketing history: if you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door, is a damn lie. If you build a better mousetrap and you don't market it, I hope you enjoy eating mice, because you're not going to have any revenue off that better mousetrap to go buy groceries with. So, because this is such an important topic, because marketing is one of the areas that our industry has really lagged behind. And part of it was, I guess, because we didn't have to. But now, with everyone so commoditized, and especially if you're next gen and you've got a completely different model for employer-sponsored healthcare, it's imperative that you educate and communicate your value proposition, share the destination to which you can deliver your clients, and that's called marketing. And all marketing is education. It's letting your prospects know the problems you can solve with the solutions you have in your toolbox. That's it. It's not complex. And the goal of marketing isn't a sale. The goal of marketing is to get your prospect to raise their hand metaphorically and say, I'm interested. I'm intrigued with what you're doing. They aren't saying they want to buy. You try to close somebody like right then, hey, you want to hire me? It's like, no, I don't know enough, but I'm really interested in what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're talking about. So how do you fill your pipeline and grow your book with marketing? So our guest today is the marketing expert who actually does a lot of the work for Next Gen Benefits for my organization. He also works for a number of Next Gen advisors, mastermind partners, Allison DePauli, Chris Wolpert, Robert Slayton, Eric Silverman, Marcy Heath, Ben Connor, all have utilized our guest's expertise and talent. So it's my pleasure to introduce Poch Relucio. Great to have you in the Healthcare Lounge, Poch.
Thank you so much, Nelson. And yeah, I'm so happy to be here. And thanks for the opportunity to share my expertise and experience to your group. So yeah, today
we've got a lot. Go ahead.
No, it's all right.
Well, I was going to say we've got a lot to talk about, so let's sort of plow into this, because you've brought an ambitious agenda, and I want to get through this. First, it's so important to understand your audience and particularly their awareness level in terms of what do they know about what you do, the solutions you bring, the problems you can solve. So talk about that audience awareness level.
Sure. Maybe, yeah. But first, I'd like to agree to your points earlier, and I think that was an amazing introduction. To your point where marketers or advisors are lagging in terms of the marketing skills. It's true that many of I worked with, or the people I talk to, have been doing some form of marketing, but mostly just copying what others are doing. And there's a danger in that when you don't know why they are doing it that way, or what are the other aspects of marketing that needs to be in place so that those tactics would be effective. And a big part of that is how you target your market, and what kind of communication to produce. So my first point, like what you mentioned, would be understanding the level of awareness. And this is something that I believe many advisors are struggling with when it comes to creating content and their communications, because there are different levels of awareness. I'm going to share some of my slides, so just for clarity. Okay. There are 5 stages of awareness, and there's the unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware. Let me describe these. So unawares would be those people who don't know what they don't know. And normally a lot of advisors would approach them, offer solutions, but you know what happens, right? When you offer solutions to people that don't think they need the solutions, right? So they will just ignore you, and that will make your marketing very ineffective. So no results there. Problem aware, they're the better market, I guess, but because they know they have a problem, they just don't know how to solve it. For those solution aware, product aware, and most aware, they know how to solve it. They might even know where to go to get the solutions, or they might already have it in place. So not a lot of advisors are targeting those. So it's usually the unaware and product aware, problem aware groups that advisors tend to try to win. But while they are somehow similar in nature, the unawares and problem aware, we have to approach them differently. For the unaware, obviously, we have to shine a light on their problem, because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know they have a problem, and they may sometimes, be in denial of their problems. For the problem aware, that's where you present solutions to their problems. And when I say problems, I don't know if you agree, but not all companies have the same issues when it comes to healthcare. The issues might present themselves differently. For one, maybe they are more concerned about the rising costs of healthcare year on year. For some, it might be in the form of, how can I use my benefits to attract or retain talents? Or maybe some are just struggling with how to administer benefits more easily for their staff, or maybe compliance issues or regulations, right? So they can be in different forms, and your job as a marketer or a benefits advisor is to provide those solutions for them, as maybe offer guides, things like that. And that's how you craft your messaging, by targeting those specific situations that they're in. And that's, again, those are 2 different groups, and 2 different approaches.
Well, I love how you segmentize the audience, because what they know or don't know should be determining what information we share with them. Obviously, someone who is problem aware is going to be much more receptive to a solution message than someone who is totally unaware. All right, so that is the awareness levels. There's something that we talk about in marketing called lead magnets, and these are possibly the most important tool we have in marketing especially content marketing. And you might want to speak just a second to content marketing, because that's going to inform the type of lead magnets we offer. But talk about that.
Okay. So for, like I mentioned earlier, your, like what you mentioned earlier, actually, your job as a marketer is not to sell, right? It's to have them to raise hands that, hey, I'm interested. Hey, I think that's for me, right? And these lead magnets are your way to know that they're raising their hands. Now, for lead magnets, again, lead magnets are basically small offers that you're giving away in exchange for their information. For example, their email address or their name, right? Just so they're already in your database. Now, for lead magnets or your content, a lot of the things that we need to consider would be, again, where they are in their awareness level, and the type of offer you want to give. Now, for example, I'd like to share with you for the unaware groups. These are some of the like samples of lead magnets that you can provide. So, for example, benchmarking reports. And these titles are just made up. And then again, these are ideas that you can use for your own business. For example, a benchmarking study for benefits for small to medium-sized companies. Now, what happens here is when you offer these lead magnets is they get to compare themselves against industry standards, and they would see, hey, I'm not even near average. There's a problem. See, so that's what a lead magnet would do. It would uncover a problem that they might not know in the past, or they might not be aware of. Lists 10 hidden operating costs manufacturer may be aware of, or may not be aware of. Sorry for the typo. So what happens here is you list down all operating costs, not necessarily healthcare, maybe just it's one item there. And here you can uncover that healthcare is one of the biggest costs they have. And you can hint on the idea that it's a controllable cost, right? Unlike before, when they don't know what they don't know, they will just say, okay, that's it. It's a cost, right? We just accept it as it is. But with your lead magnet, you can, with a little, maybe a description there, a paragraph, you can say that there are solutions out there to minimize it, right? So you're giving them that, you're planting that seed in their mind that, hey, this is something we can work on, and we have the solution for that. So while they're still unaware, you're now helping them know that they have a problem. Same with assessments and audits. It's the same objective. So they take an assessment, or maybe they go to your website, you have a form there or a survey, right? So these assessments or scorecards, checklists, the goal is the same. They will see 10 check boxes. They only check 5. Okay, I have a problem. I need to check these other 5, right? So they go to you for help. So again, these are lead magnets. If you don't have them, you don't need to have them all, but these are great for the unaware group. Do you think this makes sense, Nelson?
I love the list that you put together of sample types of lead magnets for the unaware. I will tell you, and some of the advisors on the phone will remember this. In the past, we have used at Next Gen Benefits, we've used assessments with brokers very effectively. In fact, I don't know why we stopped. This is a great reminder. We probably need to reinstitute assessments, because the goal of marketing should be to create fear and doubt in the minds of your prospects. Fear that they're not doing the right thing, not getting the right results, doubt that they know what to do to get those better results. And so this is you're goading or pushing them along the path to where they begin to feel the need to change, to do something different than they are currently doing. And assessments in particular, benchmarking as well, but assessments, the beautiful thing about assessments is they're tactile, right? You've got to go check the box, and then you've got to click submit. And of course, what they're looking for isn't the information in the assessment. And because they don't necessarily know if that's good or bad. Now, if you phrase, depending on how you phrase the questions, they'll know. But this is it's a golden opportunity to follow up and say, hey, you took our assessment. We'd love to sit down with you for 20 minutes and go over the report that was generated by your responses. And those reports aren't that hard to put together. If you make it a yes, no question, you only have 2 responses for each question on the assessment. If they say yes, what are you going to tell them? If they're going to say no, what are you going to tell them? So those assessments are really, really powerful. All right. So if that is the way we engage, you got some more.
Yeah,
you've got some more.
I have some more, and that was just for the unaware group. For the problem aware, they know their problems, right? Their pain points, and you can just direct your, for example, a guide, for answering each of these. So you can just address maybe rising healthcare costs. So you have a lead magnet for that. High out-of-pocket costs, you have a lead magnet for that. I have some samples, I think, in the next slide there. So for those who are experiencing high skyrocketing costs each year, you have the 7 proven strategies to slash your healthcare expenses in half. So things like that, right? For out of pocket, so you have painless pockets, reducing employee out-of-pocket burdens. So these little lead magnets, if you have, because I have worked with a lot of advisors in the past, and some of them only have 1, 0 or just 1. Right. And it could maybe address cost, but maybe that's not what they're experiencing at the moment. Right. Maybe they're more concerned about out-of-pocket costs for their employees, or maybe attracting talents. And it would be nice to have, these different entry points when you offer lead magnets, so that, you can cast a broader net. Does that make sense?
Total sense.
Yeah. So I think I'd like to just share a little bit that I have a lead magnet myself. It's called the 46 lead magnet ideas for benefits advisors. If you are interested to get the copy, I'll share the link at the end of the session.
We talk about walking the walk and not just talking the talk. Now, how many of you watching and listening right now are about to raise your hand at the end and say, yeah, I'd like to get that from Poch. Well, Poch will now have a relationship with you, because you're going to have to tell them who you are. It's the same with your prospects. And maybe that lead magnet doesn't appeal to you. It's not your issue right now. So Poch maybe has another, I don't know if he has another lead magnet or not, but it would be clever if you did. All right. So one of the things that we've talked about for years is that marketing is not an event. It's a journey. Just as meeting someone is not a relationship. I met somebody, I've got a new best friend. No, that evolves. You say hi, you see him at another party, you say hi, you have a conversation. Then you run into each other at the grocery store and say, hey, why don't we grab lunch? Then you have lunch, and then he asked you to go play golf, and you all go play golf. And then your wife is, oh, he's a nice guy. Why don't we have them over for dinner? Right. And you slowly build that relationship until, yeah, he's your best friend. Or if you're dating, nobody walks up to anyone in a bar and says, hey, you're beautiful. Will you marry me? Right. It's a journey. It's building that relationship. So talk about that in terms of marketing and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I was gonna use the same analogy actually, but all right. Yeah, pretty much the same. So typically it starts with the meet and greet, right? It's a funnel. If you think about it, that's where it's a journey. And I've worked with a lot of benefit advisors who think that you can take shortcuts, but it is rare that you get success in doing that, but it could happen. But you have to go through the process, right? So you meet and greet, show up a lot, you do the first exchange, you get to know a little deeper, and then have your first date, right? So when you meet and greet, that's your opportunity to make a great first impression, and that's where your branding would come in. A lot of these connections that we're making usually happens like on LinkedIn, for example. So you send out a connection invite. What happens next? Typically, they receive the invite, they check you out. Hey, who's this trying to connect with me? Right? So they click on your profile, they check you out. Okay, does it look is your brand okay? Does it look professional? Is it complete? Then they click on your website, right? They check it out. Now, what happens if it doesn't look good, doesn't look professional, if it looks like it's made in the 90s, right? So you're already making a bad first impression there. So my point here is that we need to be intentional about the experience that they will have when they meet you, when you go through each of these steps. Okay, so making a great first impression, you have to have a good brand throughout your online presence, your social media, your website. Okay, while there's not a lot of conversions happening on websites for benefits advisors, that's okay, because that's not the goal of these websites. The website is for your brand. Okay, so that people will see, are you a legitimate seller? Are you can I see there the results that you're producing? Do you have like testimonials, case studies, things like that, right? So that's part of the experience. And then, of course, they don't, they connect with you, but they don't engage right away. They want to observe, right? So that's where you keep on showing up. So that's where your visibility online comes in. That's where your content marketing comes in. Normally, this is what you post online. What we do is we recommend you post at least 2 to 3 times a week, so that you're always on the news feeds. Remember, if they always see you, right, you'll always be on their minds, right? And out of sight, out of mind. That's what they say. Now, what happens when the need arises and you keep on harping on these same messages over and over again? They will remember you when the time comes that they need your service, right? Because they always see you. That's the power of being visible all the time. But if they don't see you, right, they won't have you. We won't have that recall. Okay, and then the first exchange, that's when the more significant exchange happens, and these where your lead magnets would come in, right? If you all of a sudden you offer a guide, a free guide to solve this issue, for example, then just so happens that they are struggling with that same issue. Of course, they will raise their hand, download it, right? And then you get your first exchange. It's a trigger for you. Now they have a need because they are raising their hand somehow by downloading. Okay, and then you build the relationship by they're constantly emailing them. That's where your email sequences would come in, and then you invite them for a first date or your discovery call. Right? It's a journey, and if you don't have the patience for this, right, it's it's not gonna work. A lot would want to do shortcuts. Okay, let's do email marketing. I'll buy a list of people, and then let's do a blast. We'll get a lot of meetings. It won't work because they don't know you, right? You haven't introduced yourself enough for them to say yes to a meeting with you. So I've experienced that a lot, like buying lists, doing an email campaign, and it just ends up in spam, and your email will be flagged as a spammer forever. So it's not a good way. So there's a process. We should trust the process.
Poch, this is so common sense and so logical. I had a phone call a week or so ago from an advisor in out west who, when we talked, had been following me for a year or so, reading content, watching videos, reading one of our books, and was then on saw a LinkedIn post and picked up the phone and called. Now that's unusual. Usually you have to call them, but picked up the phone, called and said, "Hey, I want to know more about your mastery track." How does that work? How do I get, how do I qualify, et cetera? But it was all because of the groundwork that we had laid over the last several years. So, and by the way, one thing I want to say is content. The reason content is so important is it makes you the authority. It's your content. They're learning this from you. So if they want to do it, they've got to turn to you. Who else would they turn to? Or why would they turn to anyone else? And they generally don't. They want to work with the expert, and you set yourself aside or apart as the expert. The other thing about content, and this is important, content is about telling people what they need to do. You sell them the how. That's where they hire you and bring you on as an advisor, as a consultant. So remember, you don't want to put your techniques, you don't want to put your vendors, you don't want to put your specific strategies in your content. The content is more about the destination, where you can take them, what those results would look like, why they're not getting those results now because of the status quo environment, et cetera. So content is critical, but make sure you're not giving away the how. You want to give away the what that they need to be doing or need to understand, how they need to change their healthcare plan or improve their business, however you're helping them, whether it's technology, compliance, whatever, as Poch mentioned earlier. All right, so the journey has to be followed. You mentioned funnels. Let's talk about marketing funnels, because I think they're not well understood by layman people who are not actually in the marketing field.
Yeah. So like visually, the way we should see it is that funnels are there to, bring your leads closer to your end goal. For marketing, that's the handover is when they book a call with you, right? All these things that we do, content, lead magnets, etc. At the end of the day, what we want is have at that conversation so that we can begin the sales process. So that's when marketing and sales are divided. So the way I see it for you, I'll just visualize a typical funnel for benefits advisors here. So this is what we do. For lead magnets, they would have their own landing page. Okay, I'm gonna share this with you one at a time so that you're understanding how this goes. Okay, so the funnel goes like this. So they go through a landing page. Okay, and the landing page is simple. It's a simple web page with your lead magnet and the form for them to opt in and download it. Okay, and once they're there, so they'll funnel through a page, and they'll go to a thank you page where you have that opportunity to say something, maybe with a video, and that's where they have an opportunity to book a call right there and then. But that doesn't normally happen, so we have to have a backup for that. For our clients, what we do is we bring them to a next phase where all these leads that come from these lead magnets would go to a CRM. So I'm sure a lot of you would know what a CRM is. It's basically a database of where you store your contacts, so you can process them further, like email marketing, things like that. Okay, and then have them go through a drip nurturing sequence so that they are nurtured. You can reintroduce yourself, what you do, the results you provide, maybe talk about more about their pain points and how you address them. So just continuously adding value to them until they say yes to meeting with you. So that's the goal. Now, your only job is to, I'm just sharing here like how it looks like a drip nurturing sequence in the CRM. And then your only job is to drive traffic to these lead magnets. And that's where your content would come in. So just posting on LinkedIn, on social media, maybe doing your outreaches on LinkedIn, messages, so sharing these lead magnets, maybe individually as well, or if you have the budget, do some ads. So the more lead magnets you have, the more chances you have for, maybe one of these will be more attractive to them and not the other. Okay. So this is just, there's a way for us now to schedule your posts. So you don't need to do them like every day. You can just maybe set a day to create them and then have them scheduled on a future date. Okay, and then the goal is at end of the drip nurturing sequence, you have an appointment. So that's it. It's actually very simple. It's this is a kind of funnel that we recommend our clients have, so that it's all covered. You have presence online, you continuously create content, you drive traffic to your lead magnets, and then have your CRM do the rest for you.
It's a great explanation of funnels. But you will notice this is it's almost a business. It's almost a job getting this set up, and few of you will do it on your own, which is why we don't. It's why we use Poch in our business. So I just want to point that out. You go, oh, well, I could never do all that. No, you really probably couldn't by yourself, but with help. And that help is doing the heavy lifting. You're providing the content ideas, helping create the the brand. And Allison DePauli has done this so well. Chris Wolpert has done this so well of creating that brand, that then you simply have that brand pushed out on your behalf. By the way, I want to mention, I know a number of you probably have questions. Don't wait until the end to ask your question. Go to the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen and click on the Q&A button, type your question in. We're going to try to leave a little bit of time at the end to answer those, but I don't know about you, but I forget my questions if I don't write them down when I have them, because then I'm on to something else. So be sure to do that, and we will answer any questions that you have. All right. So funnels are the mechanics, the mechanism. That's the machine that we use in marketing today to educate, attract, and engage. It's so there's an old marketing term, AIDA, AIDA. Those of you who have watched the movie Glengarry Glen Ross, it's actually not used properly there, but there was one of the letters that was misused. But AIDA, it's attention. If you don't get your prospects' attention, they don't know you exist. So you've got to have something that grabs their attention. So throwing a brick through a window gets somebody's attention. The problem is, once they see some knuckleheads throwing a brick through the window, they've called security, they're back to the work on their desk, because you didn't get their interest. AIDA, attention, I is an interest. You've got to get their interest. And that's where those lead magnets, the engaging posts that get them to want to learn more and download your lead magnet, because you want them to desire, AIDA, desire the destination you're offering. What does their life look like if they work with you? How much better would their world be? That's the destination. What you sell is the transportation. That's what you actually bring. The transportation gets them to the destination, but nobody wants the transportation until they've bought the destination. Nobody buys an airline ticket unless they want to go somewhere. They don't buy. 10-year-olds might buy an airline ticket just to fly on the plane, but adults have a destination in mind. That's why we buy airline tickets. AIDA, and the final A, attention, interest, desire. Final A is for action. And that's where you get them to take an action, to either sign a contract, or maybe it's take that discovery call. That might be the action. Further down, it's sign the contract and engage you. So that funnel does so much of that for you. And it takes the necessity out of you having to go to the chamber meeting and prospect.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's just not an effective way to build leads. You can still do that, and it's good to do, but that's not going to be nearly as effective as providing out content and getting people to come along that journey with you while you're on the beach, on vacation. Your prospecting machine, your marketing machine still works. So let's talk about getting a bigger audience and more engagement. How do we expand the audience that is available to see our messages and to take that journey with us? Poch?
Right. Yeah, actually, I have a question very similar to what you just said. That I think for this person, he's seeing that his buyers are not on LinkedIn, rather many people in the business that in the same business. Yeah, actually, that's my last tip. That not to forget about building your audience through outreach, because that's the missing piece most of the time. Benefits advisors are not doing. They are forgetting that you build this funnel, sure. You create content, sure. You post every day, but if your audience is small, right? What's the point? So part of the daily effort that you have to do is to reach out, connect to the right audience, right? If you're seeing that your only people who are engaging with your content are just your peers, then that means there's something wrong with your audience base. And the way to do that is to properly target your audience, the people you connect with on LinkedIn. Use Sales Navigator, maybe hire a team to do it for you if you don't have the time to do it, because it's really hard work. Also, LinkedIn has like limits on the number of connects you can do on a daily, weekly basis. So that's something that you really have to be diligent about when you're doing that. But the point is, you can't just create a funnel and expect people to respond to it, engage with it if you don't have enough. Especially with LinkedIn's algorithm, they don't really show your post to everyone in your feeds, especially if they're not online all the time. So you just have to keep on posting and keep on connecting. I think that's my main point here. I don't have any slides for that. And this is I think it's just very important, because a lot of advisors miss this. They don't connect. They think that what they have is enough, or if they post, people will see. It's not like that. It doesn't work that way.
There was one great question. How do I send a LinkedIn invite to a decision maker to get them to accept rather than just decline because they see it's just another benefits advisor? And my answer to that would be, don't simply ask them to connect with you. Give them some content. Say something that would intrigue them. I work with CEOs and CFOs around the country to take control of their healthcare spend and make healthcare a controllable cost. I'd love to connect with you and love to have a conversation, right? And do that in the invitation. By the way, never, ever simply invite somebody to connect. That is almost, if they don't know you, that's almost a definition for how to get declined. No, give them a message. Tom, I work with CEOs and CFOs just like you across the country to help them take control of their healthcare spend, make healthcare controllable cost. Would love to connect. You don't even have to ask for anything, just would love to connect. They're either intrigued or they're so happy with their healthcare spend, they don't need you. But I guarantee they're not getting that from any other healthcare broker. Poch, what are your thoughts on that question?
For me, it's in my experience, regardless of your message or what, they normally check you out, your profile. So that's where your profile and branding would come in. If They click on your profile, they see nothing there, right? Why would they be interested in connecting? But if they see your profile, it's complete, you show case studies, you show the results that you're able to bring, then definitely they would connect, right? It's an easy yes. So again, you start with the brand. Make sure that everything's consistent. You're saying the right message on all these touch points. So your profile and your website, right? And your content, because that's what they see first, even before saying or accepting your invite. So there.
You know, Poch, this is why we do so much work with our mastermind partners, the advisors who are in our mastermind group, to help them differentiate themselves and demonstrate expertise. So we have, you see these 4 books behind me. I wrote 1 chapter in those books. The rest of the chapters are written by advisors who, most of whom are in our mastermind. Not everybody is. There's some, we've opened this up to advisors outside of the mastermind. But if you are the author of a book and you've got that on your LinkedIn, and that CEO or CFO goes to check you out and he goes, "Oh, you've written a book?" Because the cover of the book that we do, these don't, because these are the generic ones, but the advisor who contributes a chapter gets their photograph and name prominent on the front page of the book. So it's their book. And that differentiates. This is why we've had so many of our advisors featured in cover stories and written about in trade and business magazines, because you need that credibility that sets you apart from all the other brokers out there, even from healthcare advisors or benefit advisors. Why are you different? You're saying, they all say they can save me 10%. The CEO says, I don't believe any of you. So how do you get them? How do you overcome that skepticism and that sense that you're just another commodity like everybody else? So finding ways to differentiate, finding ways to establish your expertise. We get our folks speaking at conferences, because now you can say, as one of our clients just did, I was invited to serve on the faculty at the Healthcare Innovation Congress in Washington, D.C. Well, wow, you must be an expert to be invited to speak at a healthcare conference. So that's a big part of it. How do you differentiate yourself on LinkedIn and establish credibility? All right, so talk more about audience in engaging that audience, both off LinkedIn and as well as on.
For audiences, do you mean like for when we create our campaigns to reach out? I think for this one, it's really just targeting the right people. I think for LinkedIn, it's very easy because you know who you're looking for. Usually you can just check out the job titles, things like that. Outside of LinkedIn, what I've seen that's been working is when benefits advisors are partnering with centers of excellence, like, non-industry people who can, influence the decision makers. For example, we have a group of CEOs would want to listen to maybe like people who are talking about finance and how to maximize their or a CFO group, for example, and then you can partner with them to have like affiliate conversations when it's about healthcare, so something like that. Some would also be more focused on different verticals, so they can differentiate themselves that way. Hey, I have helped these different types of groups or a specific group. So since you're similar, I can provide the same results for your organization. So those are different types of marketing that we are doing. When it comes to like landing pages or websites, we even create one that's focused, hyper focused to that specific industry. For example, I have clients who are just focusing on certain industries like manufacturing. So we'll just do a website that targets and talks about marketing issues like that. And then and then it's more attractive to that sort of market. So those are different ways to get them more engaged, and you see that your value, because you're setting yourself apart. You're not just, for everybody, but specific for them.
Let me get a great idea around the centers of influence, whether they're CPAs or you could find perhaps a law firm that does a lot of corporate business. If you could work with them, but CPAs are excellent. Bill Hughes, who's in our mastermind partnership, Bill has been working with a fractional CFO company. And this is a company that provides CFOs on a fractional basis to companies that aren't really big enough to have their own CFO, but they want the expertise. And it's been a relationship journey with that group. So want to make that aware that you generally, they're not going to throw their arms open and embrace you and bring in. But Bill's worked it, and here is one of the results from that. Can you see that photograph, Poch? You see that picture?
Yeah.
So that's Bill. That's Bill on your left. The guy on the right is with the company TPHS. The guy in the middle is the fractional CFO who brought Bill in because of Bill's work with that group of influence, that center of influence, the fractional CFO group. This was, by the way, I believe it was a 69 life group, if I remember correctly. And he saved them $386,941 in the first year. Now, that's a win. By the way, this check, which is something we recommend you do when you actually have savings at the end of the year for a self-funded client, level funded plan, level funded is self-funded, by the way, in case you're a little confused on that. Level funded is self-funding. When you have that savings result at the end of the year, buy one of these big checks, and you can get them printed so you don't have to write it on there, because I recommend leaving the check with them. But here's the great value. Yes, it's impressive for the client to get a check like this, but Poch, what is this photograph?
Yeah,
this photograph is marketing material.
Yep.
Yeah, this is social proof. And you show that photograph to a prospect. The first question, I don't know about you, but first question that would go through my mind if I were shown this check is, how do I get one of those? I'd like one of those at the end of the year. I'd like a dividend on my healthcare spend. So those centers of influence can be really powerful. There's an example. Bill would not have gotten that group, would not have saved them that money, wouldn't have gotten that photo if he had not been cultivating a relationship with that fractional CFO firm as a center of influence. So Poch, let me circle this up in terms of the work has to be done. You really cannot take shortcuts, because in fact, if you take shortcuts, you're basically squandering your effort and resources, because you're not going to get the results you want. There's a step-by-step process. Poch just shared it with you. So Poch, how are you working with advisors to help reach their employer prospects?
So we normally start with a strategy, your overall strategy for marketing. And that's when we come up with the blueprint of how to do the whole funnel, and seeing what's available. So everything we build out for them, from branding to copy, all these intricate details that you don't want to do, specifically the technical ones. What we do best is to just bring out all their expertise or knowledge, and then have that presented beautifully online for you, via your website and social media, and even these little email campaigns that we have. So it's normally a building process for us. We're very good at creating these funnels for you. But what the partnership there is, you are the brains behind this. This is your words that we'll put in there. Sure, we'll clean it up, but we want to present you as the expert that you are, and make sure that you have the continuously have the time to produce results for your clients. So that's where we come in, so that you don't have to do it yourself.
And you also work with advisors on website design and build.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other things. You work with them on video.
We do
concepts,
social media content. That's the one of the first things that we did in the past. So we do social media content that would be like your graphics, copywriting, and even video content. We websites. A lot of the things we do around websites are building it from scratch or revamping old websites, and then building a funnel through it. Also, the back end work that will go for like capturing leads for your site. So we do CRM implementation as well. So for all our clients, we provide a CRM so that they don't have to get it outside. And and then we build the funnels through that as well. So we do a lot of those kind of work. And then for anything design, we also have a team for that. For example, you need PowerPoint presentations done for you, or brochures, things like that. For outreaches, we do provide assistance as well. So we're able to cover a bulk of what I've showed you today, so that you can implement the whole strategy.
There's a question that came up: how much of the marketing for advisors is repurposed? Now, that could be answered two ways. One, are you repurposing other material from other advisors? But I'm going to assume that what is meant is how much is repurposed from that own advisor's work. So if we do a podcast, we have the podcast. We also have the transcript. The transcript could be a piece, could be a product, but you could also then edit that transcript down into a white paper.
Mm-hmm.
And take the conversation piece of it out and just use the pure content. Bullet points could be pulled from that to be put in LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all from one conversation in a podcast.
Yeah, and then you can have
actually,
video clips.
Yeah, and then video clip. If you're doing it on Zoom, you've got the video clips. You also can post the video on YouTube, on your YouTube channel, and drive traffic to the YouTube channel. So it's actually, most content should be repurposed. There's a long trail that you can go along to repurpose content. And the beauty of that, of course, is you don't have to create as much content. It's not, so I was talking to someone the other day, and he takes, here's where his content comes from. And some of you're going to see me do this because he was advising me to do this. Put out questions on LinkedIn and see which, or issues, see which ones generate the most interest. There's your blog post. Write about that, because that's what people are interested in. Basically using LinkedIn as a focus group. Brilliant idea. I'm sharing it with you, Poch, but with everybody who is listening. So repurposing, and by the way, this should make developing content less intimidating. It sounds, look, I'm a content guy. I create a ton of content and have over the years. Not everybody's a content person, but you are an expert. You know a lot. So you just get on a call like I do with Jam, one of Poch's folks. I get on with Jam, and Jam and I talk, and I just give her content. Takes maybe an hour a week. No, not an hour a week, an hour a month, to knock out enough content for LinkedIn for a month. So then we can repurpose that as well. So it's a great question. Most of your content should be repurposed. Would you agree, Poch?
Yep, totally agree. Can't add to that.
All right. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? I have to acknowledge John Clay, who in his ever excited enthusiasm has yelled out "Poch!" triple exclamation points, and then he comments on his friend Bill Hughes. Hashtag stud. So, John, thank you for participating. Okay, so the question was, does Poch create content for a broker on the West Coast and just change the logo for me? So is that something?
Well, it depends on the content. There are content that's, for example, news industry updates. Of course, these are, public domain issues that we can share and everybody can talk about it. So, of course, we don't need to, we don't create the same content for all our clients. It's, we have to make sure that they all are different. It can be the same source, but the way it's presented is different. We also consider the tone of the advisor. So a part of the way we work is the beginning of our engagement. We try to study the client and how he speaks, so that when we write for the client, we try to make sure it's on brand. It's the same way. So that's how we adapt to that. And then a lot of the content would come from the client themselves. If they have like resources online or on their blogs, those are the things that we repurpose for their own marketing. So that's still unique to you. We don't like, it's not 100% same for all our clients. It doesn't work that way. So we always encourage our clients to create their own content, and then we'll make it prettier, make it more usable online, find bite-sized bits and pieces of content from what they already have. So that's what we always encourage our clients to do. Don't be shy to, go online, show yourself, create videos. And because that's where media is headed. It's more on video format, because that's, what's easier to consume, and at the same time, it's more engaging. So that's one you cannot rebrand, right?
Right. No, that's right. All right. Before we go, Poch, do you want to put the link in the chat so that everyone can get that 46 lead magnet ideas?
Yeah. Okay.
Which will not come to you spiral bound like that, but it looks really good. It looks really good on the slide. So Poch is going to type that into the chat box. Open up your chat, click the link, and you can download your copy of 46 lead magnet ideas for benefit advisors. And there it is. YourFunnelGuy.com/46. That was easy. And there it is. I just did it myself and it works. All right, Poch, thank you very much. This has been really good. You really brought some gold today. And I think both in terms of broader strategy, there's so much great information, but also tactically as well. But the tactics are they're most effective when they are part of a broader strategy. In other words, you've got your funnel, you've got your message going out to get people into the funnel, right? So your LinkedIn posts aren't part of the funnel. They're your one means of driving traffic into your funnel. So you can't just stop with LinkedIn post and think you're doing the job. And then also, who's seeing your LinkedIn post? It was a great discussion about audience. So Poch, thank you very much. Thanks for all of your help with our work at Next Gen Benefits. And we appreciate everyone joining us here today in the Healthcare Lounge. And Poch, thanks so much for sharing your insights and expertise with us.
Thank you too, Nelson. And thanks everyone for listening.
We'll see.